Okay, guys and gals, Froggy here, and you know the old saying, three times a charm? Well, this is the part I think and I hope is going to fix my washer. Let me do a quick review for you. I went to some of these online forums, appliance repair forums, and so on, and thought I got some advice, but not so much. The first thing I was told to replace was the door latch. They say often the door latch is the problem. So I did that, and it might have fixed a little something, but not much. Anyway, second thing was this control module, which I replaced with an OEM control module, and that didn't do a thing at all. Still had the same problem. Third thing they recommended was these water control valves, which seemed to be functioning fine, so I never replaced them. Then, on my own, I'm looking around with a flashlight, and down there against the wall I see that there's taped in some kind of a instruction booklet or engineering diagram or something. So anyway, I got that out. Nobody mentioned to me that there might be one of those inside the washer, but I got that out. And it has diagnostic codes that you can do. I'm not going to teach you how to do the diagnostic codes, but it has to do with pressing these buttons in a certain order here, and a code pops up. Well, I did that, and sure enough, this code pops up, and it says voltage leak to ground, or something really close to voltage leak to ground. And so I know a little bit about troubleshooting, diagnosing. Anyway, to me that meant something was getting damp or wet inside. So I pulled it back off, and sure enough, down here is a big wet puddle of water, about a half or 3/4 of an inch deep. That's designed to catch the water there. So good for them to do that design, and right away I knew, well, that's not a good thing to have all that water down there in a washing machine that runs on electricity. So I soaked up the water, I dried it out, and then I ran the machine with the cover off. This is very dangerous to do. I don't recommend you do it unless you know what you're doing. So the machine ran, and over here, right up there, and I'll give you another angle at it, right there, that rubber elbow was leaking pretty good, so dripping right down there. So I said, oh, okay, I found a leak. So here's the part, and we're going to put it in, and then we're going to run it again and see what happens. So what you need to do is take this water control valve off, and I'll show you how I do that, and then you can get at it. There's two clamps, basically just two clamps on that hose over there. So let me get this off and I'll show you. First off, everything's unplugged. Second thing is remove these connectors here, these electrical connectors that control these solenoids here. Well, they don't come off that easy, but there's a little tab right in the middle, and this has to be lifted up, and then you would think it would slide off, but still it's stuck pretty tight. So you have to bang it a little bit, carefully bang it. I took a screwdriver and just kind of shoved it that way. Okay, so you get those three off. Shut off your water, then take these two hoses off, mark it for hot and cold so you get it back the right way, and wrap a rag around it because it'll be full of water. Don't let them drop down, keep them up high, and put a rag around them. Or you could drain them into a bucket if you want to do that. Okay, so I marked red stripe hose and blue stripe hose because my hoses had the stripes on them. Now you've got two screws, one there and one down underneath there, so you might need a stubby screwdriver, or I'm not sure how I'm going to get at that one. This one's pretty easy. So everything's sharp, so You might want to wear long sleeves or gloves. Well, you can't really wear gloves because you can't feel the screw and stuff with gloves, but geez, I gotta wrap that up. Okay, so I got those two screws out. I got taped up so I'm not bleeding all over everything. I think you just pull this out, straight out. I'm gonna wiggle it a little bit, and I hope that the seals in here are reusable, because otherwise, I'm gonna have to be buying another part. Damn. Well, okay, they look pretty decent, and there's one more clip to come off of that assembly, and you squeeze there, and that opens it up. See, squeeze and open, okay? Now I'm going to show you Froggy's trick. Once you get this loose, you want to angle it up here, pull it out, and then it'll get stuck right about there. It'll get stuck in those two square holes. So what you're going to do is take the heel of your hand and bang it, bang them. The things that I'm wiggling around, they'll be sticking out more. And you bang them, kind of gently, firmly bang them somewhere in the between, and they'll come out, and it looks like it doesn't bugger up the threads too bad. And now we can see the part that we're going to replace right there. It's got a clamp on the top, and it's got a clamp on the bottom. It's a 7mm on mine. I've got a little universal 1/4" drive ratchet that I used. The other one you're going to have to go diving for. And then when you put it back in, see right here, face the screw so it's right up there. So for the bottom one, I took the universal off and just reached in blind or by feel, reached in through there and got that off. So you can see that's off. It didn't seem like it was too tight, and I'm really hoping that this whole thing was not just because of a loose clamp. When it goes back in, remember this arrow right here on the big opening goes straight up. That's the way it was when it came off. Well, alright, I was starting to be afraid that there wasn't any leak and it was just a loose clamp, but there is the split right there. So the reason it splits, maybe you know already, is that this washer moves like that, and one end is fastened tight there, and one end is fastened tight there, but it's just moving all the time, and it gets hot too, so eventually that rubber just gave out. Let's get the new one in. I'm going to put just a little bit of silicone around here so that the clamp slides if it needs to slide, and a little bit on the inside so that that rubber against the plastic will move a little bit if it needs to move. Actually, I'll put it around that right there, all the way around, both of those. I don't like the angle of getting at that screw because something's in the way. I'm going to put it back the way it was before and do it blind because there's nothing in the way down there. It's like a straight shot onto the screw. Okay, well, I'm going to call it good. I'll put that other one back the way it came out, and this top one. And don't over-tighten them because you're tightening up on plastic, okay? You just make sure that the seal is correct, that the lip is over the flange on both of them. Start putting stuff back together. I think this thing was hanging up on this lip here, and that might have been a little bit of the difficulty. Okay, so let's plug these back in. They're all color-coded, and then that little one down there. Hot and cold water, and plug her in, and you may or may not need to clear the code that was on the diagnostics that I ran. I'm going to just try it and see what happens. Don't forget to turn your water back on, which I almost did. I'm running it on spin only, and it looks like it's spinning up pretty fast, which it hasn't done much of in the past few days, so that's a good sign. This is just spinning to get any excessive water drained out of the washer, and then I'm going to run a delicate load, which is a quick load, and just see if it goes through the whole washing rinsing, spinning cycle. Alright, so I put a bunch of darks in. I'm going to run it on delicate because that's a quick cycle. I can go have a little supper and then come back and take a look at it. And maximum spin, and let's go. Door locks, wash light, 35-minute estimated time. I'll be back. Well, actually, I'm back right now because I'm running it now. Water comes in, it drags the soap out of here, basically, flushes it out of here, comes out here, goes into the tub. So I'm looking for leaks. I'm looking here, down there where that rubber thing was, back here. So there's three places I'm looking for leaks. Shut off shouldn't be a problem. I don't see any, so wish me luck. This is a little picture about how it moves around, how the drum moves around in there, and you can see why those rubber elbows, rubber bellows, or whatever you want to call it. See that movement? So that's why it got a crack the way it did. So this was a 35-minute wash, which was on delicate. Doesn't matter really. I didn't have any problem with selecting different things. It's down to 3 minutes. It's draining, and if I see it spin up, then I'm going to call it good. I've looked behind there. It's bone dry. I tell you, I kind of enjoy watching this mechanical device, this machine, running again and knowing that I fixed it. In this part of the States, Southern California, it probably didn't need this part, but I think it needed the door latch and that bellows definitely. And you figure a repairman, double the price on the parts. Door latch was about $25, the bellows was about $30. Plus, he gets pretty close to $100 an hour labor, plus a house call. I figured this would have been around a $300 bill if I just paid somebody to do it, and it may or may not have fixed it, you know. Every tech guy is not a perfect guy. So for $50 in my labor, she's good to go. So I made myself a rusty nail. That's Scotch and Drambuie for you guys and gals who don't drink rusty nails. And that's my pat on the back to me for fixing it. Give me a thumbs up or a like if this helps you out. Subscribe to my channel if you want more from Froggy. Click on the bell if you want notifications. Be safe, have fun. Froggy out. Bye-bye. Happy weekend. It's Saturday. One little bit here, because I think that's kind of funny. It's spinning now. Yay.